Is it good to invest in the Philippine stock market right now? So we're going to answer that in this video. Today is November 4, 2020. So the US elections is ongoing, and that's one of the global news. Well, that's one of the news that's dominating global headlines right now. And the Philippine stock market is actually already moving up. It has been moving up the past few days. So I guess it's relevant to ask, is it good to invest in the Philippine stock market now? So, for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Ronald Kagape. I'm the author of the book No Money Down Formula in Real Estate. Now, that book helps you to buy properties with little or no money down. And I'm also a co contributor to Money Troubleshooters. Now, your clueless and irreverent money questions answered straight by financial gurus. So, that book has more than 20 financial gurus answering different questions on budgeting, saving, stock market investing, real estate, etc. I hope you check out those books. And so going back to our question, is it a good time or is it good to invest in the Philippine stock market right now? Well, that really depends on what's your long-term objective or where are you at. Now, it won't be easy for me to answer. If you want to get short-term gains, is it good to invest in the Philippine stock market? Well, that's not a question that I can answer because I am more of a long-term investor. And for most investors, especially if you're just starting out, I would really suggest that you think long-term. That is the common advice, for especially from most financial advisors. They would tell you, invest long-term. And I would say take the same mindset when you are investing in the Philippine stock market. Think long term. However, there is also something wrong, with this advice. So I want you to have, a more complete picture of this think long term approach, because there are actually two approaches to long term thinking, and one of them is wrong. Okay, so I want you to avoid that wrong mindset. And one of them kasi is based on hope. Yeah, that online tips like this video that you're watching right now. Now, there is a hope that what I tell you is going to be correct. Okay. Now, I don't, I don't advocate investing based on hope. I hope that what this guru advised, would really come true, or what this particular, influencer, said would be a good stock to buy. I hope that is true. I don't advocate that, because when you base your investments on hope, you are investing blindly over the long term, and that is not a good strategy, to take. When you are investing without enough knowledge, without a clear understanding of what you're getting into, then you are more likely to lose money. So let's take a look at some examples, because what I would like you to see is that I want you to invest with a long-term vision. You see clearly what is going to happen in the future, rather than just blindly buying a mutual fund because everyone says that you think long term, and if you think long term, then uh, your investment will be bigger automatically. That actually doesn't happen. And a lot of people have been surprised. They bought something 10 years ago, but it hasn't appreciated. So you need to have a clear vision of where you are going, especially when it comes to your money. So let's answer first. Now, what are the reasons about why should you invest in the Philippine stock market right now? What's going for the Philippine stock market that can encourage you, to get into that market? Okay, number one, the Philippines is on a growth trend. Okay, the whole country has been on a long-term growth trend. Many years ago, HSBC ran a study that predicted that the Philippines will move up from somewhere around the 50s. No, it will move up to the 16th largest economy in the world. That's by 2050. So 30 years from now, the Philippines will be one of the top 20 economies in the world. In fact, according to that projection, the Philippine economy will be bigger than Australia. So that's a very bold forecast or very bold prediction from HSBC. So that did not come from me. That came from HSBC, a global bank. And what they're saying is the Philippines will be one of the top 20 economies in the world. So we have a growing economy and we also have a growing population. However, our economy is in recession. Okay, so that is our current challenge. Even though we are on a growth trend, our economy is growing bigger, our population is expanding. That's why we have a bigger economy. However, the pandemic actually has hit the economy very hard. So it hit tourism, which is a big, very, very big aspect of our economy. It, so excuse me, it also hit overseas workers. So remittances, which has been a, a foundation, a foundational aspect of the Philippine economy, is going to be hit in the next few years because a lot of OFWs were sent home because of the pandemic. And down here, uh, we have a lot of companies that have been closing down because of the pandemic. In fact, we probably have record high unemployment. A lot of people are going to be struggling in the next few days, next few months, even while we don't have a vaccine yet in place. So our economy um, is in recession, but we are forecast not to recover in the next 1 or 2 years. So these two reasons, right? We are on a growth trend, and we have an economy in recession is actually a good reason not to get into the Philippine market right now. So if you haven't done so, then you may want to consider investing in Philippine stocks or in the Philippine index fund. Okay? However, there are also certain things that are going against the Philippine stock market. So there are things that uh, would make you think twice about investing. Okay. Number one, the market is actually very, very small. It's too small compared to other stock market exchanges. And why is this important? Because if a market is too small, it becomes easy to manipulate stock prices. Right? So it- this is going to be a challenge for people that want to try short-term trading, day trading, or maybe holding on to a few stocks for a few weeks or a few months, hoping that when you buy now, they're going to go up in the near future, and they'll be able to make a profit from those short-term moves. However, because prices can be easily manipulated, by the very big players, then it becomes harder to do a lot of these short-term trading. And in fact, I have talked to a lot of short-term traders, and some of them have actually already given up on doing short-term trading in the Philippine stock market. Now, it's not a big issue for long-term investors, but it's also it's going to impact you in such a way that because there are fewer players, because the market is still small, then the chances of the entire market growing are actually smaller, or it's going to grow slower compared to other exchanges. So that's the challenge, one of the challenges of the Philippine stock market. But for me, this is the biggest. There are limited options in the Philippine market. What do I mean? Well, first, there are no options, right? There are no call options, put options, which are advanced derivative products. They're called derivatives, which are advanced financial instruments other than stocks, and that will actually prevent a lot of these funds from going into here, because all they have, the only the only possible way to enter the market is to buy Philippine stocks, and some of them are actually very, very big, and many of our companies are too small for them, so they can't invest as much because it's too small. It won't make a difference in their portfolios. Plus, the Philippines does not have not a lot of technology companies, which are actually driving a lot of the growth in all over the world. So we don't have as many options in terms of instruments and in terms of actual companies to invest in. We don't have a lot of IPOs, a lot of good IPOs that provide potential investors, with good promising returns in the future. So those are the challenges in the Philippine stock market. It's too small, um, it's easily manipulated, and there are not a lot of options when it comes to companies and it comes to financial instruments. Okay? If you will see the performance, just to compare, during the past year, last year around this time of last year, the PSEI was actually at 8,000, at the 8,000 level, and even before the pandemic, that level was actually already going down. It was on the downtrend already, and this year we are at 6,324. That's the level of the Philippine Stock Exchange. If you invested in a index fund, you would be somewhere at a net minus 26.8% loss. So this number, 6,324, was from a few days ago. As of today, I think we're already at 6.4 or 6.5 level. So at least that's already just what, minus 25% loss. Okay. So if you're going to invest in the Philippine stock market, then I would agree that you need to think long term, but you need to avoid long-term blindness. And so you need to see that the Philippine market has challenges, and you need to make sure that you're well aware of those challenges and that you have great expectations, or that you at least have realistic expectations moving forward. But how can you invest? I guess what I don't want to leave you with a negative attitude towards investing, because there are actually other opportunities out there. So it's not just the Philippine stock market, right? You need to expand your vision. So if you can see that, okay, probably the Philippine market, okay, sure, Philippine market over the long term, over the next 30 years will probably grow, then it's good to put in a little bit of money there. But I don't want to put everything, right? I don't want to put all of my investable funds in the Philippine market. Then you need to expand your vision or consider other options as well. Like, why not look at the global markets or the global stock markets? Because the good news is the global markets are open now, even to small investors. Okay? And if you want me to talk about the global markets, more in depth for Filipinos in the future, make sure that you smash the like button, right? For the social media algorithms, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, make sure that you smash that, and please share this video also to a friend. Okay, so that will help me make more videos like this. So going back, why look at the global markets? For example, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is the second biggest stock exchange in the world, and it's actually the second biggest stock market in the US. So that is where most technology companies list. So a lot of the internet companies, a lot of the software companies out there are listed in the NASDAQ. So why not, why invest in the NASDAQ? Well, it's very liquid, right? It is, like I said, it's the second biggest market in the world. So it's really huge. A lot of the global funds are actually invested in the NASDAQ. So that's where most of the action is happening right now. But it's not just the NASDAQ, right? There are other exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, German, Hong Kong. So there are a lot of exchanges in the world. And the good news is it's now open to Filipinos. So you're not limited to the Philippine stock market. Now, another advantage or another reason why you should consider investing overseas is the variety of asset classes, or the variety of financial instruments. Well, earlier I mentioned that there are more derivative products there, right? There are options, there are futures, there are, you can invest in oil, in commodities. So you have a lot of options. In addition to that, there are a lot of companies for you to choose from. So you are not limited. As compared here in the Philippines, we don't have that many good companies that people can invest in. But across the Pacific Ocean, right, across the world, there are a lot of options open for you, and you can experience life-changing returns. Like last year, if as I showed you earlier, if you invested in the Philippine market, you would be actually at a loss right now, right? You'd probably be down 25%. But had you picked stocks in the US markets, for example, Amazon is very big. Last year, it was at $1,721. Today, it's around $3,000 already. And, and Amazon's price is actually down from 3,300, which was at a high this year. So even if it went down by 10% from its high of this year, you would still be 76% up from last year, right? So imagine that you would have had like even with the pandemic. So that's crazy. Even with the pandemic that has crashed markets all over the world, had you just bought Amazon last year, you would be up 76%. Okay? If you bought Zoom is very, very popular now because of the pandemic. A lot of people have been using Zoom. I've been actually using Zoom for the past 2 years. Unfortunately, I did not buy Zoom stock, but if I did, no, it was $76 last year. Now it's at $460. That would have been a 498% return, right? Amazing, life changing returns in the global markets. And if you bought Tesla, right? Tesla has been very, very popular in the news. You would have made 700%. So these returns have been, really, really crazy. And I'm not saying that if you do that by the same time next year, you would have the same returns. That's not what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is there are life-changing returns available outside of the Philippines. So you don't need to limit yourself in the Philippine market. So that is, for me, the biggest reason why you should consider sending some of your funds, not just locally, but outside of the Philippines as well. So you need to be clear. You need to expand your vision, and you need to be open to what's going to happen in the future. Because the truth is, our global economies are undergoing a lot of change. Technology has actually changed our lives so much that you can expect the same thing to happen in the future. Technology has been driving change for many, many years. And that is something that I'd like you to consider. Now, where will technology take us? And if you see that, well, for example, right, the internet was, just became mainstream about 10 years ago. No, 20 years ago, the internet was still just for nerds and geeks, but they were already very excited on where the internet will take us. Now, if you invested 20 years ago during the dot-com burst, you would have still made a lot of money if you held on today because technology is driving change and will continue to drive change in the future. Now more than ever, we are more reliant on digital tools, on internet-based tools. So all of these things will be driving our future. And unfortunately, now if you want to ride that trend, you cannot do that in the Philippines, or there are very, very limited options right now, to ride that trend here in the Philippines. So you need to expand your vision and you need to have a very, very clear idea of where you want to put your money over the long term. Okay? So for us, Filipinos, it's not enough to be an average local stock market investor. Okay, we need to become world-class global market investors. Okay, so if you are interested to learn more about that, can you tell me which one would you rather be doing? Would you be investing with long-term blindness or long-term vision? Okay, please let me know in the comment section below. And also, let me know if you want to learn about global stock market investing. If I get 50 comments, that would be a great thing. I would be more than willing to share, how to invest in the global markets as a Filipino. So let me know in the comment section below. 50 comments will unlock that lesson for you. If we don't have 50 comments yet, I would suggest that you share, right? That you make sure that you like this video. Now smash the button for the social media algorithm, like for YouTube and for Facebook. Make sure that you share this video so that others will comment as well, so that we can hit our 50 comment requirement. And make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss my next videos, especially about global stock market investing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Ronald Kagape, your deal making coach, encouraging you to make deals and grow rich. Go see you in the next video.